Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the webinar today on civil reform. My name is Kerry Greenwich. I'm the Senior Service Manager working in reform, and I'll be joined by my two colleagues today, Elena Evans and Faye Waits. We've also got our contact details on the slide that you can see now, should you wish to contact us after the event today. So I'm just going to give you an update, a bit of a whistle-stop tour really through what we've delivered so far in reform. So we have created the online civil money claims service for litigants in person. That's for specified money claims, so money for a set amount up to £10,000. Over 250,000 claims have been issued with user satisfaction at about 95%, so really good user satisfaction for that service. That service went live in 2018. As part of that service, we have implemented opt-out mediation. So we started off by having a process where people could opt into mediation. We then piloted an approach where users were required to opt out of mediation. We did that first of all for claims up to £300 and then for claims up to £500. And following a very small evaluation, we decided with the judiciary that the right thing would be to implement opt-out mediation for all defended cases. So that's up to £10,000. That went live on the 24th of May, and we will be evaluating that in the autumn. Some of that work's already underway to see what having that approach has achieved. We've also moved the service to the CTSE in Stoke. We did that last summer. That's aligning with the future operating model for HMCTS. And gives us different ways of working, more modern ways of working, if you like. So the service is supported by that team there. And then we've just finished rolling out the service and the ability for digital directions to be given. So the service currently is from issue all the way up to digital directions for hearings for small claims. This has been rolled out, as I said, we piloted it initially in 18 county courts, but we've just finished rolling out at the end of September to every single county court. Legal advisors do digital directions orders for cases up to £300, and the judges do the remainder up to £10,000. We've seen heading towards about 5,000 orders that have been drawn in that way so far. The aim of the service will be to get an end-to-end digital service so that the whole file and the whole case is supported digitally for online civil money claims. We've also created a digital damages service for claims for legal representatives, and that is currently issue and response to claims. I've had good feedback on that service, and claims being issued in that service have been issued with no issue whatsoever. I would encourage people, if you're a legal rep and you're not signed up to that service, I would encourage you to do so, because we'll be giving more functionality in that service, and again creating an end-to-end service, and my colleagues will be talking about that shortly. For the damages service, we've had lots of webinars that have been held in May and September, and we're continuing to have some other bespoke training events and engagement sessions that are continuing, and you can see that there's a link to the recording there, and also you can find more about the service. Equally, as I said at the beginning, I'm happy for you to contact me, Elena or Faye if you'd like to talk about the damages service particularly.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Elena. As Kerry has mentioned, we've made huge inroads with the start of the digital claim journey, but there's still a little way to go to achieve a fully digital end-to-end process, which is what we're aiming for. So you probably want to know what the next steps are. So over the next 6 months, we're going to be adding and expanding to the current available journeys that are already live. And we're going to be doing that by expanding the damages claims journey, which Kerry has just mentioned, to facilitate the ability to issue and respond in multi-party claims and to request the summary judgments. And we're also expanding on the judicial ability to digitally allocate cases to a suitable hearing track and produce the relevant order. So we've got a good platform already there, and then we're going to expand on those. And we're also going to be releasing some new products which will facilitate, at this point, the ability for legal reps to issue specified money claims on the online money claim service, and the ability to submit and respond to a digitally generated general application. And those two are a shift away from the current paper processes that we use. Of those two additions and expansions, the next substantial release for us is going to introduce the legal reps into the online money claim service and facilitating the issue of a specified money claim. So what does that mean to legal reps who want to use the service? So it's a lot similar to the damages service that's currently live. And the new service will allow registered claimant and defendants listers to issue and respond to claims online, and introduces electronic notifications and alerts, facilitates the uploading of documents. And probably the biggest change for legal representatives is the self-service element of the system, which allows somebody to view a claim 24/7. If you want to do so, and removes the need for contact with the courts to obtain updates. You'll be able to see what's going on in a lifetime real environment on your dashboard if you're registered with us on My HMCTS. Our new journey for specified money claims on the online money claim service is due for release in spring 2022. And at this point, I want to kind of take the indulgence of inviting legal reps to join the pilot. We want you to be involved. We want you to take up an early opportunity to explore, give us feedback on the journey and its usability. And if you think as an organisation you're going to be interested in joining the pilot, please be in touch with myself, Kerry or Faye, and we'll talk you through how to do that if you're not already registered with My HMCTS. And it's a really new, exciting time to try and get you involved and get you exploring and using the system and giving us feedback on how that works. So after we have launched our legal rep service, there's still a little way to go. So the issue and response journeys are our first stepping stones. The chevrons you can see on the screen at the moment give you an idea as to what's still to come next and the elements that we're going to build to support that digital file and the end-to-end service. And these milestones are going to continue to be developed and delivered throughout 2022. And again, we want to engage with as many people as possible as we're building these elements to test them, test the functionality, and make sure that they deliver what we already give you as a service, and if not better. So the digital file for HMCTS and its users is a huge new approach, and that's why we're wanting to engage with as many professional, non-professional and judicial users as possible. We always encourage the feedback as it helps us refine our current journeys, and also alerts us to what you may want to see in the future, what we need to build, what we need to take into consideration when we're building our future journeys. So please be in contact with us if you can. I would really encourage you to uptake any early opportunities to join pilots, and so we can work with you on building this as we go through the journey. The digital journey doesn't just stop at final order or judgments on a case, and we're looking at enforcement processes and how they can be digitised, at which point I'm going to hand over to my colleague Faye.
Hi everyone, thank you Elena. My name's Faye. My colleagues have discussed what has already been delivered and what is to come in money claims, and I just want to introduce two additional elements of the civil programme. The first of those is a possession. The possession project is due to start its discovery phase in January 22, so very soon. For those familiar with possession work already, you'll be aware that there is some element of digital working via Possession Claim Online, or PCOL. However, PCOL is restricted only to those claims which are started because of rent or mortgage arrears, with all other claims progressing on paper and continuing their whole journey on paper as well. As well as possession, we will also be looking at enforcement, with that project due to commence around spring 22. So there's a few elements to enforcement. For those that have used the service before, there are physical elements of enforcement. So these are, for instance, warrants or writs of control, possession or delivery. And we also have administrative elements of enforcement, for instance, attachment of earnings orders and charging orders. So there's quite a lot that falls under that umbrella of enforcement. As we begin these elements of work with the discovery and design phases, we're really keen to engage with experts in these areas. So for possession, those that have been involved throughout COVID are aware that we've had process changes. Some of you may be involved in various working groups, various research projects that have been going on. We want to use that learning and we want to build on it further with even more users, whether you are a litigant in person, whether you are an advisor to defendants, whether you're a legal representative representing mortgage firms or landlords. We're really keen for both possession and enforcement to gain your expertise. You're using these systems day in, day out. You're the ones that know the processes and how they work. And we will be inviting, similar to the releases that are coming in money claims, we will be inviting users to join pilot phases of that, which will allow as well use of the system in a test controlled environment to give feedback on those journeys. These slides will be available afterwards. They have all our contact details in, and they also have some useful links. So anybody who is interested in any element, whether it be the money claim side, possession or enforcement, please use them to get in touch with us, and we'll keep your details ready for when we start. Thank you for listening to us today. We're now moving on to the question and answer phase of the session this morning. So I'll hand over to start those questions, and please keep them coming in.
Thank you, Kerry, Faye and Elena, for your excellent presentation. So we're just going to the Q&A now, and we've got a few questions to kick us off with. So the first question is for Faye, and this is about the digital damages service. So the question is, what is the process for registering for the digital damages service?
Great, thank you. Thank you for your interest. We're really keen for users to sign up to our new damages service. The process all of this information is available online. Also, these slides will have links to the information as well. Firstly, you need to, because it's a digital service, your firm needs to be signed up to both My HMCTS and also signed up for payment by account, which is how court fees are taken. Once those two actions have been completed, you'll be able, as a user, to sign up to My HMCTS as well. And that provides you with all the information and directions you need to join the damages service so that you can start issuing your claims, or if you're a defendant firm, so that you can reply to those claims digitally. As I say, in one of the very first slides, there's all links to webinars we've held, which provide really detailed information on the process and how to do all the sort of screens that you'll see and what the procedures are. So please, when these are shared, take some time to have a look through them, and they should answer all your questions. They also contain our bespoke inbox, which is purely for damages queries. So for anything further or any clarification you need, you can use that to contact us as well.
Thanks, Faye. Second question is for Elena. What can I do if I don't have the digital skills to issue or respond to a claim online?
Yep, so thank you for that. If you don't have the digital skills or you need some support on that, obviously there is going to be the support that's out there. You are able to go via CAB, but just because we're launching the digital platform, that doesn't mean we are getting rid of paper. And if you do have a preference to do things via paper, then that option is still out there for you. But obviously what we would say is that the digital versions of the journey will give you that better journey. It will allow you to look at what's going on and you won't have to contact the court. So it'll be a better facility for you.
Thanks, Elena. I have another question for you here. And this asks, what will happen with cases that have more parties than 2 and don't fall into a fast track allocation?
Yep, so currently at the moment, the journeys that we are building are dealing with claims that will be normally allocated to a small claims track or to a fast track. Those are predominantly the main journeys that run through the county court. We're aware that there are cases that would fall into a multi-track, and as Faye was saying, also fall into possession. They are due to start their discovery phases in early 2022. So we will be delivering something for those elements of work, just not at the moment. We're going to start work on those in 2022.
Thank you. And I have another question for you as well. This is from the Q&A section. Will litigants in person be able to use the platform to see the status of their claim, or is it restricted to legal representatives?
So currently we have the online money claims service, which is used by citizens. So that's litigants in person and smaller organisations. So that's currently running. And what we're building at the moment is predominantly for legal reps. And then the aim and goal is to merge both of those in together. So as a legal rep or as a litigant in person, you will have exactly the same experience if you're using our digital service.
That's great, thank you. And another question for you, Elena. Sorry, we're front loading you with this. Who will be able to register as a rep to assist parties? Representative bodies such as Citizens Advice Bureau and others may want to be able to effectively assist LIPs.
Yes, so at the moment there's going to be no functionality for Citizens Advice Bureaus or other representative bodies to join the case, and that's the same as it currently is in the paper service as well. Whereas an individual will take their paperwork to the Citizens Advice Bureau, it's going to be the same with the digital service. So the individual would potentially take their laptop or their mobile to the Citizens Advice Bureau and then ask for information for that way. Because of the personal nature of the details that are contained on the system, it's not something that we would give access to a third party to at this point.
Thank you, Elena. I have a question for Kerry now. This is from Pablo. Pablo asks, when is the negotiation module available in the OCMC and what is the settlement rate?
Thank you. So we have something we call settlement tool, which I think is what Pablo is referring to. And what happens is a claim is issued. The defendant in that, who is the subject to that claim, is able to make an offer to the claimant to settle the case. There's no counter offer, it's just one offer at the moment. And if the claimant accepts that offer, that results in a legally binding agreement between the parties. I think it's fair to say that the tool's been used. Probably it's resulting in probably about 2,000 offers being made, and probably somewhere over 500 actually orders being made as a result. We haven't kind of developed it beyond that, more than one offer. There is the opportunity to do that, but it's not something that we've got front and centre of our plans at the moment. What we've seen used much more is mediation, which I talked about earlier on, and that approach we're moving to opt out. So whilst we do have that settlement tool, it's probably cannot really be used to negotiate because it just allows one offer. There is the potential in the longer term to do something else, and I think that probably will be part of our wider emerging strategy as we look at different ways of resolving disputes. So it's definitely not something that we won't pursue in the future, but at the moment that settlement tool is just one offer. It doesn't really allow the parties to negotiate as such.
Thank you, Kerry.
Thank you.
And I have a question from Meg for Faye. And Meg is asking, we were involved in extensive work on enforcement procedures a couple of years ago. I presume you are not starting from scratch.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Thanks for the question. The same is also true for possession work. So pre-COVID, there was some of this research work done with users across a range of users. We absolutely will be building on that. We will also be learning anything we've taken from COVID and any processes that we put in place, but also continuing along with anything new that we want to include. So you're absolutely right. All that work that we've done previously is not lost in any way. It will be used, refreshed, and as I say, anything additional that we've learned from working in different ways during COVID will also be included as well.
Thanks, Faye. Another question for you. This is from Tony. Will DCP or CCOP transfer data to enforcement via API?
Hi, yeah, thanks for the question. So that is the vision for a full end-to-end digital service that will allow your case to progress from issue all the way through to enforcement without any need for any separate systems or anything like that. Obviously, this will come with time as the project progresses and develops. But yeah, absolutely. In the vast majority of cases, we aim to integrate completely with that case that's already in existence so that you can then continue your claim via enforcement procedures on the same route.
Thanks, Faye. A question here for Kerry. Will digital versions mean my case is processed more quickly?
Thank you. Thanks for the question. I think the simple answer to that is yes. It's definitely much quicker using the digital service. So we have seen within the online civil money claim service, claim issued, defendant responded to it, and a judge has actually given directions on that case in less than 24 hours. When the claim would, in the traditional sense, have not been even served on paper yet. I also referenced earlier on judges and legal advisors giving directions digitally. As soon as that order's been made by a judge and generated, parties will be notified there's been activity on their case. They can go and look in their dashboard and they will be able to see a copy of the order that's made. They'll be able to print it if they wish, download it, or it remains in their dashboard. That takes beyond 100 days on average to do in our current heritage services, and on average it's taking about 36 days for legal advisors and about 43 days for judges, so it's significantly quicker using the digital service. So that's one of the reasons why I would encourage people to use it, particularly as we get end to end. I think also in the damages service that we're building out, I've spent many years working in county courts where people would queue up at the public counter for to be issued, or they'd send them in by post and they'd be contacting you to find out what happens. Again, in the digital service, a claimant can go on, issue that claim, it's issued instantaneously pretty much, and then they can go in and see what's happening on their case. So there's no ringing or waiting or wondering what's happening on a claim. It is significantly faster than what would happen in our heritage services. Thank you.
Thank you. Just waiting for a few more questions to come through. We do still have time left if you do have any questions for the presenters. Okay, so we have a follow-up question here. So this is asking, until digital services are fully operational and all users can use this type of service, can courts be fully staffed for answering queries by phone, as not everyone has access to legal procedures and need guidance to ensure that the layperson is fully compliant with court procedure?
I'll answer that question. I think it's probably not. We're talking about civil reform today, so I guess the actual staffing allocation model for courts is probably not for me to answer. But what I can say is that we do have staff working in the service centres, so in Stoke, particularly for online civil money claims, and then also in the county courts that will be dealing with queries and supporting individuals if there's a query. In the CTSC, there will be the ability to have web chat, to be able to use web forms. So absolutely, there are still staff there supporting litigants in person and legal representatives if they've got queries. We've got the National Business Centre supporting the damages service at the moment. We also have telephony at Loughborough who answer telephone calls. So absolutely there is still support there. And Elena mentioned earlier on about litigants in person, and again that people particularly litigants in person will be able to use paper if they so wish, but again there are the team in the CTSC that will be able to assist people. There's also assisted digital services with an HMCTS that will be able to help people to use the digital service, but ultimately if you're an unrepresented person you would still be able to use paper, and there will be, as I say, lots of different ways in the new reform services of users being able to contact HMCTS. I hope that answers the question.
That's great, thank you. So I have another question here for Elena. Will there be an API for all these online services to allow integration with case management systems? And if so, how soon will these be introduced?
So an API is definitely something that we are looking at. What we need to try to do is get the end-to-end service in place, because we want to make sure that the API works at the right times for the service that we have. It's definitely something we are looking at, and obviously we want to try and integrate that within 2022. What I can't do at the moment is give you a definite as to when that's going to happen, but it's definitely in our roadmap of things that we want to deliver.
Thank you, Elena. Another question here for you, or it can be passed on to your other presenters. Is there any safety net in the event of online notifications going astray, e.g. notice of directions issued?
So I'm not sure what's meant by going astray. So when you are registered with either the citizen service or with the legal rep service, you are asked to put your details in. So that would be obviously address, contact details, and also email addresses. I can understand that maybe if I were issuing a claim and I potentially miswrote the email address of Faye, for instance, it may not go through. So what would happen is that there would be a bounce back to say it's not been delivered. So you would get what you get in the normal world of if you're trying to deliver an email and it doesn't happen. But obviously it is very reliant on details being put in, as it is at the moment with the paper world, or if you write down the number 6 instead of number 8, whatever drive it may be that you're wanting the paperwork to go to. So we do have some safety nets, but we are reliant on people using the system to make sure that the right information goes into it also.
Thank you. I have a question from Mary from Law for Life here. I'll direct this to all three presenters. So can you explain more about the opt-out mediation in online money claim service? How does this work and how does it affect the length of the case?
I'll take that. I'll take that question. Just wait for the screen to come over to me. Thank you. And just adding on to what Elena was saying as well about safety nets for notifications, just going back on that question. Again, we've talked about it, all of us have talked about dashboards. So if something did go wrong in terms of a notification, so for example, I mentioned if an order was made, you'd get a notification telling you there'd been activity in your account. You're not actually getting a copy of that order, you're just getting an alert, and you'll have the dashboard. So I know if it was me, I'd probably be in the dashboard all the time looking at what's going on with my case, up to where we've got the capabilities to do that in the current service. So again, users will always have that option to go and look into their dashboard. I know again from working when I worked in operations, people would say I can't find a copy of my defence, I can't find a copy of the claim form, I can't find a copy of that order. Well, actually they can go to their dashboard and see all of those documents anyway. So again, I think that's much better than what we currently have for paper. If I can just talk to the question on opt-out mediation. So the way that works for the parties is that the parties are opted into mediation and will be given an appointment unless they opt out. Obviously, that does require both parties to not opt out. It requires them both staying. I'm not sure that I've actually seen anything at the moment that gives an indication on timeliness of a case, there's nothing to indicate it's making it any slower. What we are hoping is that it means that more cases ultimately go to mediation and are settled by mediators. When cases get before a mediator, typically anywhere sort of between 55 and 60% of cases are settled. And it's fair to say that if a case settles at mediation, that is always going to be significantly quicker than if a case went to a determination by a judge, just because it's earlier in the process. As I said, there will be evaluation. We will be able to look at whether or not that's had any impact, but there's nothing to indicate that it makes it any slower. And in fact, because it's a digital service, I think cases probably get to the small claims mediation service more quickly. I know you're going to hear from Small Claims Mediation Service this afternoon. So again, I'm sure they'll be able to answer any particular questions about how that service operates.
Thank you, Kerry. So I have another question here for Elena. Does the opt-out mediation in the online civil money claims achieve more settlements than the opt-in model? And will it capture personal injury claims from road traffic accidents under £5,000?
I think that's probably more Kerry, if you're able to answer that one, Kerry.
Yep. So at the moment, as I mentioned already, there's an evaluation that's underway. So I don't actually have the data. What we would hope is that more cases are settling at mediation, but as I say, I don't have the data to support that at the moment. That's part of the evaluation. And again, road traffic accidents and other types of claims can't currently be issued in online civil money claims. So they won't currently be cases that are going through opt-out mediation, but it's something that obviously we'll be looking at in the future, but you can't currently issue those claims in the online civil money claims portal.
Thank you, Kerry. So a question for Faye. How long is the digital discovery phase for possession expected to last, and how can you give more details about what this phase is about, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the question. So the discovery phase is the very beginning of that project. So it's all about understanding the current journey in the paper world, or through the as I say, the limited digital process through PCOR that we have available, understanding those pain points, the experience of users. That will also include speaking to users, and we want to speak to as wide a range as possible, everyone involved in the possession process. So not just the actual parties that are necessarily named in the case, but those that represent them legally, those that advise them either pre-court or, for instance, duty advisors on the day of the hearing. So that is all about understanding where the opportunities are, understanding what the current process is, and that helps us then to design where we want to go next. In terms of how long it takes, it's likely to take a good few weeks, maybe into a couple of months, but there will be some of that work will be happening already. Some of you may already have been spoken to in that kind of pre-discovery phase. We have done a bit of that research already previously. I say we've learned a lot through COVID and how the processes have changed, and what's worked well and what we need to design further. But yeah, we expect that to end around May 22. But yeah, we really appreciate any assistance that anyone wants to give in terms of insight, because we really do want to speak to those that use that day to day.
Thank you, Faye. So a question now for Kerry. If the online process is quicker, will the mediation aspect also be speeded up and supported?
I'm not sure exactly what's meant by will it be speeded up and supported. We certainly know that there are sufficient mediator resources to meet demand. So for the cases, if they all stayed in online civil money claims, they can all be allocated appointments. And that happens relatively quickly. So I'm not sure what is meant by the process being quicker. I think generally a mediation sort of takes place within 28 days of the parties having not opted out in online civil money claims. And as I said, the resources are there to support what we're doing. So hopefully that answers the question.
Thank you. And another question for Faye. Will there be an API for all of these online services to allow integration with case management systems? And if so, how soon will this be introduced?
I think one of my colleagues may be able to add more to this, but I'm happy to begin that, and then they can jump in if there's anything in addition to add. I'm presuming that we're talking about between your case management systems and then into our online services. I think Elaine has discussed previously that won't be something that's happening in the short term. So in terms of how soon it will be introduced, that may be something for longer term. I appreciate with those that use SDT at the moment that there is an element of that integration there already. But Kerry or Elaine, I don't know if you can answer anything a bit more clearer on that.
Yes, Faye, I can take that. So yeah, as Faye was just mentioning, its API is definitely something that we are looking into. It's something we're aware of is already in use within MCOL, and it's definitely something that we want to continue to use within the online money claims service. What we do need to do is, because it's a new platform, we need to work out how that is going to work and at what appropriate points the API will interject and talk between the current systems and the new systems and those that are using the API. It's definitely something we are looking at the moment and trying to work through. And I think, as I mentioned earlier on, it's something that we're looking to deliver in 2022. But what I can't say is when we're going to deliver that. But it's definitely something that we are looking at the moment.
Thank you. So another question here which asks, will previous cases and judgments be uploaded digitally?
So I can take that one. Sorry, was that will previous cases and judgments be uploaded, did you say?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so they won't be uploaded onto the new system. So it won't be uploaded onto the Ocmc system or to the damages system. What we will do is essentially have our heritage system running, and we'll run that down, and we will ask for all new cases to be issued onto the new damages or online money claim system. So we will have a dual system running at some points. But we would encourage people to start to use those two new systems where possible because of the benefits that they will give to those users.
Thank you. Another question here. They are coming in fast, so thank you everyone for asking lots of questions. So will HMCTS publish the results of the discovery next year, and will this set out what the next steps are?
That's probably a question back to Faye for possession.
Yes,
yeah,
so possession.
A possession one. Yeah, so in terms of the discovery, this will lead to a whole range of outcomes. It's, I say, a lot of it's internal learnings. We have specific user research colleagues that undertake a lot of that qualitative information. If there's anything you're interested in terms of data-wise to do with possession, you're able to request that through the usual FOI process. Some of it is already published, and we can also share a link to the published information that has already either been released under a previous FOI or is part of our general MOJ official statistics. So yeah, happy to look into that if there's anything in particular.
Thank you, Faye. We still have about 5 minutes for any additional questions. As I said, thank you for posting all of your questions so far. I think it's been a really informative session. Okay.
I think there is a question.
So I think we've
just
got one that's come in. Kerry, did you want to take this question. So this is, will there be an API for all these online services to allow integration with case management systems? And if so, how soon will this be introduced? Sorry, this was my mistake. That was a follow-up question. The question that they're asking is the API integration within your 2022 vision or getting to the end-to-end service finalised within 2022?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I don't think I've got much more to add to what both Elena and Faye have said already about APIs. We're quite in an early stage for that work and how that's going to work. It is definitely part of our plans in civil reform, and as Elena sort of mentioned the timescales already, so I don't really have anything else to add in terms of APIs. I saw a question from Pablo Cortez that came in at 10:29. I don't think we've answered it. If we have, I apologise. It was about, can litigants in person currently use a traditional small claims route in person, or do they need to use the paper form of online civil money claims? What I would say is what we're doing in online civil money claims at the moment is not end to end. There are other alternatives, so somebody can use a paper if they want to issue a claim that way. Obviously, that would not be an option that I would say is the best one. I would always signpost people to the online civil money claims, a new reform service, but people can still use the paper claim form, the N1. We do have our Heritage Money Claims Online service. Again, it's just not the same offer as what you get in online civil money claims. And again, we'll be moving to an end-to-end service on online civil money claims, and Money Claims Online doesn't offer that. So the answer is people do have other routes, but what I would suggest they do is use online civil money claims. If a defendant who more typically might find it more difficult to use a digital service, again, there's lots of support there, including the CTSC. There is a response form that mirrors what happens in the digital service, and that does mean that can be completed on paper, and that does mean that the claim can stay digitally, and the benefits that would bring in terms of the digital file, but also to the claimant, and the outputs to the defendant would still be on paper. So hopefully that addresses that question. And then I saw also that there was a question about do we know that things are definitely faster? Has this been tested? I think I gave some stats earlier on about the speed at which directions were given in a case in less than a day. That's not the standard for every case, but that shows it's possible at least. But we know, I gave the statistic about directions orders, we know that is definitely quicker. So the answer to that is yes, we have tested that. I also know that there was a case that a judge dealt with, directions were given digitally by him. The case then went back to the heritage ways of working and was listed, but a case was disposed of from issue to final hearing within 3 months. Again, it just wouldn't be possible to do that in our heritage services at the moment. I think what we do as we get to an end-to-end service, we'll do more and more to look at timeliness and show the differences. But we do know for the current process we're at the moment, it is quicker. So that's just picking up a couple of questions that I could see.
No, that's absolutely fine. Thank you for picking up those questions. It's great that we're getting so many. I think this question is for Elena. So will Money Claims Online be sunsetted once legal representatives can use online civil money claims?
Thank you. So I think Kerry just touched on it a moment ago around what MCOL can offer compared to what Ocmc will offer. And as I've spoken to previously, we're going to continue to have our 2 heritage services running, and that's Caseman and MCOL, because there's going to be no transition onto the online civil money claims. So new claims will be issued on there, and we will run down the heritage services. And as Kerry mentioned previously, actually MCOL stops just after issuing judgments. You can issue a warrant, but it doesn't offer the same kind of viewing of the system and watching what's happening on the claim. So we would look to encourage people as much as possible to move across to online civil money claims, because it will give better benefits for the user.
thank you. So I think we are nearing to the end of the session. We don't have any new questions that have come in just yet. We'll just give it a few more seconds, just if there's any last questions that anyone has. Okay, so it doesn't look like we've got any other questions. So thank you, presenters. And thank you to everyone who has posted questions in the Q&A function. If you do come away and think of any more questions, you can direct these to the email that you can see on your screen right now. Change something that matters at justice.gov.uk and someone will get back to you about your questions. So I think that's it for everyone. Thank you everyone for joining. And thank you to our presenters for answering the questions and for updating everyone on what the civil project has delivered so far and what the future will look like.